Maybe that's why Trump loves him, dude. Yo, Trump and Kim Jong-un are just homies for that reason, dude. He's like, oh, you want to build a wall? Ooh, I love big, beautiful walls. Build it. I'm saying it. North Koreans tell BBC they are stuck and waiting to die. What?
North Korea. For over 70 years, the country has been ruled by one family. Its tyrannical leader, Kim Jong-un, has subjected his people to extreme hardship.
The regime survives by repression, by complete blockade on information, with the security services and field tactics.
At the start of the pandemic, North Korea sealed its borders. We now know next to nothing about what's been happening inside the country.
Wait, did we what? As opposed to before? When we knew so much. Like, it's literally called the Hermit Kingdom for a fucking reason. What the hell? Also, I don't want to be disrespectful, but like, maybe this isn't North Korea, but like, how did you get this footage if you're not allowed to be inside of North Korea? Like, is this not North Korea? I don't understand.
Sometimes people describe North Korea as a black hole of information, and that black hole has become significantly darker over the last few years.
For months, we've been communicating in secret with 3 people who've risked their lives to expose the disaster unfolding. We've used animations and actors to illustrate their words.
These days, watching and sharing foreign videos is severely punished.
One wrong move, and you're facing execution.
And a desperate struggle for survival.
Food supplies are so low, people have started dying.
I want to live in a...
I mean, how? Okay. Why would Yeonmi Park not become a prominent voice in the United States of America when the motherfucking BBC, which is like a well-respected institution that is supposed to disseminate news, like, when this is the kind of fucking coverage coming out of that?
a society where we don't starve, where my neighbors are alive, and where we don't have to spy on each other.
Everyone in North Korea is dead.
I've been working as the BBC's correspondent in Seoul for just over a year. And for all the time I've been here, North Korea's borders have been shut.
Yeah, everyone in North Korea is dead. And if you're alive, they kill you for it. Okay? But North Korea has actually figured out necromancy. So they bring you back to life so they can kill you all over again for the crime of being alive, because it's illegal to be alive in North Korea.
I knew these border closures would be having a big impact on people's lives. So when I arrived, I wanted to find a way to hear from people inside the country. North Koreans are forbidden from talking to anyone outside the country, particularly journalists. There are a couple of specialist news organisations that have a network of sources in North Korea. We decided to try and work with one of these organisations to speak directly to people in the country so that we could understand what was happening. One of these news organisations is Daily NK, based in Seoul.
Hello, 안녕하세요.
Lee Sang-yong is its editor-in-chief.
Okay, Daily NK. I don't know anything about Daily NK, but I'm going to look up if they've gotten a National Endowment for Democracy. Ranty Spotlight, Ho Park, founder of the Daily NK. This is from ned.org, National Endowment for Democracy, supporting freedom around the world. Ho Park is the head of the North Korean research at Daily NK, one of the largest and most influential online newspapers in North Korea on North Korea related news and information. He's also one of its original founders. He spent extensive time recruiting and training North Korean citizen journalists on the Sino-North Korean border. His work on the economy has been featured in academic platforms including Zeitgeist, Korea International Trade Association, Korea Development Institute, and has been cited by media outlets including The Economist, Al Jazeera, The Atlantic, The Washington Post. He holds an MA in journalism from Yonsei University. National Endowment for Democracy is a private, non-profit foundation dedicated to the growth and strengthening democratic institutions around the world. Each year, NED makes more than 1,300 grants to non-governmental initiatives like the Daily NK. The Daily NK is a recipient of funding from multiple institutions and private donors, including the National Endowment for Democracy, an NGO funded by the U.S. Congress. Does anyone ever ask how an NGO, a non-governmental organization, can be funded by the United States Congress? And how this does not defeat the purpose of it being an NGO? Anyway, the amount of daily NK funding from the National Endowment for Democracy since 2016 is available in the public sphere. The organization is part of a consortium with the Unification Media Group, which is a South Korea-based nonprofit organization that produces and delivers radio content about North Korea via shortwave radio broadcasts. Oh. That's interesting. Huh. Anyway, I'm sure that doesn't mean anything.
I'm sorry we're a bit late.
저희가 북한 내부에 같이 저희에게 정보를 전달하는 그런 소식통이라고 하는 그런 분들이 있습니다. 분들하고 좀 친한, 그리고 어떻게 보면 이런 북한의 안 좋은 현재 상황, 이런.
Can I ask why you're so suspicious of anyone reporting on the conditions in North Korea? It seems doubtful that everyone is just lying about it. I don't think the conditions in North Korea are good. As a matter of fact, I think the conditions in North Korea are very bad. I just don't think that the conditions in North Korea are as the CIA-backed institutions represented. I think that a lot of people get paid, and it's understandable. They're in like very undesirable conditions to embellish their circumstances, so much so that there are plenty of other defectors that regularly shit on Yeonmi Park. Yeonmi Park, who has famously said that people push trains in North Korea, that children eat rats, and then the rats eat the children in North Korea, that, that she was sold off to a Chinese family that is R-worded, a Chinese family of R-worded farmers. Yeonmi Park's own mother disagrees with that story that she tells all the fucking time. Okay? No, I don't mean retired. I mean the other word, the French word for, And no, I do not mean redneck either. Silly Billy family. Hasanabi is pure entertainment. I swear the guy's always dick riding the left. Thank you for saying that I am an incredibly entertainer. That's my job. Free Radio Europe was a CIA funded for many decades before it was disclosed it was a psyop, so it's very normal to think CIA is doing something similar in South Korea. What? Of course the CIA is doing something similar in South Korea. I just showed you what they're doing. And also, do you know what the South Korean CIA is called? It's called KCIA. South Korea is an American-designed, American-built client state for the CIA. There is no South Korea or North Korea without the United States involvement. Also, they do have Radio Europe, Free Radio Europe. It's called Free. It's Free Asia. Radio Free Asia. It exists. Sorry, I know you're agreeing with me. It's just that I wanted to expand on it. A whole family of redacted farmers. Holy shit. Yeah, it's like the most unbelievable story of all time. So much so that Yeonmi Park's own mother was like, that didn't happen.
그런 부분들을
I hope I was a little bit sorry. My opinion on Korea, my opinion on the DPRK is this. Okay? Shit is not great. They are run by a despotic, psychotic dictator and his family. Okay? 100%. Though that much is true. Okay? But even then, Democratic People's Republic of Korea's problems do not almost entirely stem from that. There's still a much larger issue at play, and that is, one, America bombing the fuck out of it originally in the Korean War, so much so that 60 to 90% of all buildings were eviscerated in the process. And then after the USSR imploded, the DPRK had no more funding mechanisms that would keep it afloat. And well, now they kind of rely on China, maybe a little bit on Russia as well, but still, that genuinely destroyed the North Korean economy and North Korean existence in general, because the United States of America has kept it under complete sanctions since its inception. Completely strangled by embargoes and sanctions, yes. Their only life raft is China, which acknowledges it as a buffer state and gives it just enough to survive, but not so much that they will thrive. And having said all of this, in spite of all of those issues from having like a despotic, psychotic dictatorship and not really having like serious elections or anything like that, and, having god-awful material conditions, it's still significantly better than the way that it gets presented in the West. Western coverage of the country rarely ever focuses on Western crimes that led to the situation at hand and hyper-focuses on the actual issues, for sure, that they greatly exaggerate for no fucking reason. You could just basically say like, oh, the Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il family is just bad. They're awful. They're brutal. They're not great. But they're, but ultimately what is significantly worse is the crippling sanctions and not normalizing relations with this fucking country. Because everyone wants a big bad guy to be afraid of. He did blow up his uncle in front of a rocket, though. See, this is what I mean. Like, there is so much shit like this. And I don't even know what is true and what isn't at this point. But I know, like, a great example of this is that, no, he didn't actually blow up his uncle in front of a rocket, right? That was not a real story. But it was played as a real story in mainstream media from mainstream outlets that you would never question. I would never question, right? And because it's about North Korea, you can make up literally whatever the fuck you want to make up. And the BBC will cover it. They will report on it. They will just straight up say, this is real. This happened. And then a week later, it'll come out that the uncle didn't even fucking die. He's like very much alive. And then they don't even need to do a retraction because it doesn't matter because it's North Korea. No one fucking cares. Yeonmi Park is the perfect demonstration of this reality. She gets approximately $40,000 per speaking engagement on the minimum. And the entire time, she's just lying. The entire time, she's just like, in North Korea, the train pulls you. She's doing like that yakety sax style fucking, in Soviet Russia, car pulls you type jokes about fucking North Korea. And everyone's like, that's real. And it's so sad. I can't believe it. Kim Jong-un apologizer? I absolutely am not a Kim Jong-un apologizer. What part of it is still absolutely Yakov Smirnov, yeah, not yakety sax, whatever. Yeah. The The media lies about everything. They literally said that North Koreans had to get the same haircut as Kim Jong-un until a couple Aussies went there to disprove it. Yeah, do you remember those handsome boys, those handsome lads that went there to disprove it? I wonder what they're up to now. I wonder what those handsome Aussies are doing after they went over there to disprove that. You'll be seeing a lot of them. You'll be seeing a lot more of those handsome Aussies soon. They're coming back to the United States, and they will be staying here in my house. They were eaten by rats.
외부에 알려주고 싶다라고 하는 의지를 가지고 계신 분들을 저희가 섭외를 했습니다.
So what happens to our questions now?
그러니까 뭐 기기라든지 그런 소프트웨어를 이용을 해서 저희랑 협력하고 있는 북한 주민들에게 전달이 하고 본인들만 알고 있는 그런 장소, 뭐 도청이라든지 이런 것들이 불가능한 그런 장소, 조사가 은밀하게 좀 진행된다라고 보시면 될 것 같고요. 보다 안전한 방법으로 올 수 있다, 오고 있다라고 이해하시면 될 것 같습니다. 시간이 조금 걸리더라도 가장 안전한 방법을 써야 되고 현재는 계속적으로 그렇게 써왔다라고 생각이 듭니다. 그래서
Well, we will wait as long as it takes. For months, we exchanged hundreds of messages with the sources in North Korea, each containing just snippets of information to protect people's identity and keep them safe. Until finally, we had enough to put together.
Kaya. I'm going to take Kaya out real quick.
I woke up at 5 a.m. and make breakfast for my family. Then I go and prepare my business at the market, where I sell medicine.
One of the people we've been communicating with is a market trader who lives up near the border with China. And she makes her living by smuggling medicine over the border from China. Her earnings support her family, so her husband and her 2 children.
Before COVID, life was stable. I didn't smuggle every day, but my business made quite a profit. But since COVID, my earnings have halved. It's become much harder to smuggle things over the border, and the crackdowns have become stricter. I tried to smuggle, but I got caught. I had to bribe an official with money I didn't have and barely got away with it. After that, I was monitored and I couldn't do anything. Most of the products in the market came from China, but it's empty now. You could always find grain, but not these days. Our food situation has never been this bad. Recently, people have been knocking on the door asking for food because they're so hungry.
코로나 이전에는 일단 사람들이 왔다 갔다 할 수 없었습니다. 이게 약간 불법적인 방법이긴 한데 밀수를 하시는 분들은 그 밤에 넘어가서 어떤 물건을 팔고 어떤 다시 물건을 가져오는.
North Korea has 2 borders. The one with South Korea is closed because the 2 countries are technically still at war. It's the most heavily fortified border in the world, known as a demilitarized zone. To the north is a vast 1,300-kilometer border with China. Through closing its borders, North Korea not only stopped people from leaving and entering the country, but it cut off trade. So they stopped freight trains from even crossing the border from China with vital supplies of food and medicine.
I like when they're like, yeah, we will not be revealing the identity of the people. And then they're just like, they illegally smuggle resources through China. It's like, how many motherfuckers are out there that you could probably figure it out. If you wish to do so. If this was a real person.
Often we have to work late into the night and I sleep at the site.
This person, who we're calling Chan Ho, lives near the Chinese border with his family.
I wouldn't be able to survive if my wife didn't work at the market.
Otto Warmbier was a real situation though, right? It just seems like there's more evidence of it being more evil rather than less evil than it is portrayed. Maybe I'm just ignorant. Wait, you think the North Korean government is more evil than its portrayal in the media? What the fuck? What? Okay, what could they do that's more evil than what they say they're doing over there? Like, that's kind of impossible, right? Am I crazy? I feel like they portray North Korea as like the most evil nation on the planet. They make everybody get boozy fades. No. I love how that we have zero evidence of any of these events. I mean, the Otto Warmbier thing is real. I think he was behaving like an American tourist, and he did not deserve what happened to him. But he, you know, it's like if you went to fucking Singapore and threw trash, like, you might get your ass beat. You know what I mean? Or if you smoke weed in Japan, which, again, unacceptable and inhumane and stupid. And it does point to how brutal the North Korean country is, 100%, especially in their mistreatment of people that they, you know, understandably have anger towards, like Americans. Americans love to say they will snipe you with a bazooka if you spit out your gum in Singapore. Yeah, that's why I was like tugging on the American heartstrings about Singapore and how draconian they are about trash. Like, here's the thing. I've never fucking said that the situation in North Korea is great. Like, as a matter of fact, every time I talk about the story, every time I talk about North Korea, there's a group of people that are like, no, it's fucking awesome. You fucking piece of shit. They're eating hamburgers for every meal. And I'm like, no, that's not true either. Like, but there is a very real reason. There's two very specific reasons as to why North Korea is not as great as it could be potentially. And the two reasons are that, number one, American sanctions and embargoes, okay, that have crippled the nation since its inception. And two, a pretty fucking awful, pretty brutal form of government. But I would say that the sanctions and the embargo also re-solidify the existence of that brutal and awful government. It was doing better than South Korea until the 80s. Yeah, I know. I mean, it doesn't matter. South Korea was a fucking brutal military dictatorship that basically turned into 6 families in a trench coat that substitute for the government. But at the time, North Korea's lifeline was more powerful than it is now. And North Korea is not the only example of nations that we do this to, and there are ones that fare far better than North Korea, and I'm, of course, talking about Cuba. Okay? That's the reason why, as much as I defend Cuba, I don't have a similar kind of defense for North Korea. Because Cuba is in America's ass cheeks, okay? The tiny island inside of, like, the American imperial periphery, and yet they thrive in comparison to a place like North Korea. Coroner found no obvious signs of torture on Otto Warmbier. No, I don't care about that. I never thought that he was tortured. I thought they just, like, fucking beat his ass and they killed him, right? It doesn't matter if they fucking tortured him or not. They killed him. Details surrounding Otto Warmbier, a 22-year-old American student who died in June after being detained in North Korea for 17 months, were released this week by the Hamilton County Coroner's Office in Ohio. The report, an external examination, not an autopsy, describes 4.3 by 1.8 scar on Warmbier's right foot. Parents Fred and Cindy mentioned the scar during an interview when they broke their 3-month silence. How do you get a scar that covers the entire top of your foot? Coroner's report did not include this last detail. It describes a number of smaller scars, but does not contain details as to what caused them or how long they'd been there. The report also offers information that seemingly conflicts with the parents' account. His bottom teeth had looked like they had a pair of pliers and rearranged them, Fred Warmbier said. However, the coroner's report says the teeth are natural and in good repair. Hamilton County Coroner Dr. Lakshmi Code Samarko addressed the discrepancy, speaking at a news conference Wednesday. She said her team, which included a forensic dentist, evaluated Warmbier's body as well as various scans of the body. I felt very comfortable that there wasn't any evidence of trauma to the teeth or jawbone, Samarko said. We were surprised at the parents' statement. Fred Warmbier told CNN on Wednesday the family will not be commenting further. A North Korean foreign ministry spokesman on Thursday denied Warmbier was tortured while in North Korean custody, according to a report. On Tuesday, Warmbier's parents described what they saw when they approached the plane that returned their son in June. We weren't prepared for this at all. Halfway up the stairs, we hear this loud, guttural, howling, inhuman sound. We don't know what it is, Fred Warmbier said. He's strapped to the stretcher, and he's moving around, jerking violently, making these howling, inhuman sounds. Warmbier's eyes were darting around. What? Okay, well, the parents are fucking lying. I don't know why, but he still died. So the parents are distraught. Yeah, you're right. I should say the parents are distraught. Not even chewing the shelf. She just put her head on it and resting on it right now. I don't know why she loves that so much. The parents are basically used by the Trump admin. There's some good videos on it. How do we know they're lying? I'm confused. What do you mean? How do we know they're lying? You're reading an article that in basically the kindest terms possible is saying that the parents are lying. Where is the media literacy or just literacy in general at this point? Like, this is fucking CNN, okay? If you search North Korea, if you names check North Korea in CNN, you will see that they portray North Korea in the worst ways possible as well. This coroner's report apparently says the opposite of what the parents were saying. Go to the 30-second. Wait, what? They did a whole documentary on it? That's crazy.
Time. Well,
but what caused the brain injury? Waterboarding? Electric shocks? A suicide attempt? All possible, she says, including Pyongyang's own explanation.
if they gave him something to sedate him that made him stop breathing for a period of time, a long enough period of time, absolutely.
Her specialists also examined the scar on his foot. Their findings were inconclusive.
I can't argue with anybody that says, hey, this could have been caused by electrodes. It could have been, but maybe it was something that was placed in the skin that got infected. That could have been too. So there's nothing specific about that healed scar.
What remains is the allegation that Warmbier's lower teeth were forcibly twisted. Yet, the coroner says there would be signs of trauma.
This is an example of the changes that he had in his lower teeth. The forensic odontologist looked at it as well and agreed that there was no trauma at all to those roots. And you can't pull teeth out and then rearrange them and put them in different places without there being trauma to the roots. If I had any...
Yeah, that sounds so fucking stupid. It's just, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Any evidence and concrete evidence that there was a criminal act here, I would be very loud about it and would definitely be stating that. Unfortunately, the evidence we have does not point to anything in particular as far as this is what happened to him.
At first, the coroner withholds the results, out of respect for the mourning family. But in her mailbox, she also found warnings.
It felt vaguely threatening, and that I was being disloyal to the president, and that I shouldn't disagree with the president, especially in such a public way.
Efforts to get to the bottom of the Warmbier case have resulted in countless files and articles. Much of the information is contradictory. Establishing the truth would also pose a challenge to the federal court in Washington, where the Warmbiers file a lawsuit against North Korea, with the help of government-friendly experts and lawyers. Pyongyang does not contest the case, and the trial takes place with the plaintiffs only. And strangely enough, without Flückiger and the coroner appearing as witnesses. One expert witness urges the judge to hand down a spectacular verdict.
Lawsuit against North Korea, isn't that just pro forma? Otto Warmbier's family was awarded $240,000 from seized North Korean assets. I mean, good for them. Good for them. Like, ultimately, like, the dude died. You know what I mean? It's still fucked up. It's like, I'm not going to fucking sit here and act like that's normal or good. You know what I mean? Yeah. He died under their custody. It's still... And also, it is perfectly reasonable to want to try and steal something from North Korea. Okay? Like, so both of those things are absolutely valid. Like, if I'm going to North Korea, I want to steal some shit too. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that people that have gone to North Korea that I know personally have stolen shit. Like, don't say that. No, it's fine. Like, it's bullshit. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to uphold this fucking psychotic standard. And he should not have been murdered under state custody, basically, for the crime of, like, being a fucking bro who wanted to take something home with him. Like, that's dumb. It's dumb as fuck. So I hope people understand my position on that. I think it was a poster. Like, I think he wanted to steal a poster. I have a joke to lighten the mood. Why is North Korea like gingers? They both have no soul. Just kidding. Gingers and North Koreans. Just some wordplay. Fucking got him. Yeah, he stole a poster and was, like, thrown in jail for, like, yeah, he was released by North Korea in a vegetative state and died soon afterwards. Attempted to steal a propaganda poster from his hotel, for which he was sentenced 15 years of imprisonment with hard labor, which is just imprisonment in America as well. But still, fucking bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. And the parents deserve money in that regard. I think that maybe they're embellishing a little bit, but I think the Otto Warmbier story and what we just found out is a perfect distillation of what I mean when I'm talking about North Korea. It's fucked, it's bullshit, and Americans still choose to lie about it and embellish. Okay, it perfectly describes my position on North Korea. Does that make sense to you now? Do you understand it a little bit better? Like, no, they didn't fucking rip his teeth out and, like, torture him for no fucking reason, okay? But yes, there should have been no punishment for his, like, understandable desire to fucking bring home a goddamn memento. And yet he still got punished for an incredible amount of time, and also died at the end, which is ridiculous. But, like, if you're running around saying, like, oh, in North Korea, like, everyone is forced to get the same haircut as Kim Jong-un, like, that's not real. That's just made up. Shit's already fucked enough as it is in North Korea. You don't have to, like, make this stuff up, but people still choose to do so. You know?
Food supplies are so low, people have started dying. It's been so...
He could have bought it. I think they sell those when you go to North Korean tours. Not saying he deserves whatever happened to him. It doesn't matter.
So long since we received government rations. We somehow survive on what little food there is. But it's hard not knowing how much longer we will live in this pinched poverty. The future is dark.
hundreds of miles away, in the relative luxury of the capital Pyongyang, lives a woman we're calling Ji-yoon.
In the morning,
Low-key, these like supposedly dystopian ways of showcasing North Korea kind of look chill though.
I put the rice on to cook before waking the rest of the family. Then I start my job at a food store. I used to be able to sneak some fruit and vegetables out of the store where I work to sell them at the market. I'd use the money to buy rice, but now they thoroughly search our bags, so we can't make a side hustle. My family doesn't have enough food. My husband and I survive by thinking 10 more days, and then another 10 days.
I do also find it relatively hilarious that like capitalists are fucking upset about like a mother trying to capitalists are upset about a government punishing and diligently stopping a mother trying to survive because she doesn't have enough money and she doesn't have anything she literally has to make a side hustle for herself to like to make ends meet and to feed her children, as though, you know, as though this is very different in the West, where food insecurity is not a real thing, of course. It's like, at least in fucking North Korea, there's a reason for the food insecurity. In America, there is no reason for food insecurity, and yet it still happens. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, they have food insecurity because of, I don't know, global fucking sanctions placed on them. In America, we have an abundance of food, and yet motherfuckers are trying to do the same shit they're doing in North Korea. How much of a fucking, how awful is that for America? Think about that. Think about that. Bro, we're not living in North Korea. You're living in like Birmingham, Alabama. Why are you living under North Korean conditions, dog? BBC's not writing reports about your circumstances, talking about how the disgusting draconian capitalist state of the United States of America is behaving, again, in this despotic and tyrannical manner by forcing, black Americans into subjugation and death and despair. You know what I mean? It's like motherfuckers in Missouri got that same shit going on. I've never heard a fucking BBC report on that. And it's even worse because in America, like I said, we have an abundance of food, dude. Oh, Jesus.
Thinking if something happens, we might starve, but at least we'll feed our kids. Once, I didn't eat for 2 days. I only drank water.
I think it's really interesting that we have somebody even from Pyongyang speaking.
Bro, at least they don't get to see ads at the top of the hour. I'll say it. If you're tuning in from the DPRK right now, you don't see a fucking ad. Everyone else, on the other hand, is going to see an ad unless they're subscribed for $5 or for free. Here's the ad break now.
Thinking about how hard the situation is. It's affected Pyongyang as well, which,
some nurses have to use the NHS food banks in the UK, and the BBC won't report on that the way they report about their foreign enemies. Yeah. Either subscribe or move to North Korea.
Speaks volumes.
There are lots of beggars now. If they're lying down, we check them and usually find they're dead. There are others who kill themselves at home or disappear into the mountains. I never used to hear of this happening.
By the way, another ironic circumstance with this is that, like, but I'm not saying that this is not happening in North Korea, okay? I'm sure it is. You know where else is happening? Not just in the United States of America, which we already talked about, but also in South Korea. Like, South Korea has the highest rate of suicidality out of any of the OECD nations. No, not even Japan. South Korea actually is lapping Japan. South Korea is lapping in Japan in both like development. It's not the 90s anymore. South Korea has become the Japan of the fucking 80s and 90s. But it's also leading the OECD nations on suicidal ideation. You know what? I was going to say, you know who else has a high rate of suicide? The United States of America.
No, One family that starved to death at home. No one came in or out for 3 days. Water was brought around and we knocked on their door telling them to get some. But nobody answered.
In our village, 5 people have starved to death. In one family, their wife was too ill to work, so 2 children were surviving.
South Korea has a huge economic pressure issue and then some. That's not the same as being starved to death. Brother, first and foremost, everything we're looking at here is still anecdotes no matter what. We will never be able to get adequate data out of fucking North Korea. You're just looking at an anecdote and going, oh, this is what's happening widespread across the country. Everyone is fucking starving to death inside of their own homes. The purpose of this video is to make you feel like that. That's number one. Number two, what they're describing, the anecdotes do happen in the United States of America, and there is data for it. So it's not like this is not a problem. You're talking about the wealthiest nation on earth, which has what, like almost 500,000 fucking homeless people in this goddamn country. In my state of California alone, we got like 60,000. What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean? USA, DPRK, made League of Legends. Conclusion, DPRK better. Also true. The reason why I like watching videos like this is to ask, wow, that's crazy. Can't believe that that's happening. Oh, wait, it's happening in America, the wealthiest nation on the fucking planet. How could we let this happen here in our backyard?
Well, I'm seeing that the bodies on.
We love a lot of this shit. We love watching shit like North Korea. We just like the reason why Americans love Ukraine and what's going on in Ukraine is because it makes Americans feel like they're engaging in something that is like justifiable, and therefore they don't have to focus on themselves for a brief moment. It gives a sense of comfort to the global hegemonic superpower that mistreats its own fucking citizens like crazy. Like, there you go. Should we apply our own logic on homeless people to Koreans? Yeah. I want to cover shit happening in the DPRK and basically talk like a Republican congressperson and be like, wow, it seems like a fucking skill issue, L nerds. Wow, you had shelter over your head and still couldn't fucking find food? Yeah, can't believe you died. How about you fucking find your bootstraps? I guess they were lazy. I don't understand how you can watch this and objectively not look at the United States of America and go, holy fuck, our situation is that bad.
Surviving by begging. In the end, all 3 of them died. The official cause they were given.
There's little proof of executions, concentration camps, and famine. Instead of only talking about the U.S., talk about the actual fucking country. People have no gain in making up stories about North Korea. The USA instead of the center of the world. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is who I'm talking about when I say this is like copium-induced NATO Andes in here. Like, again, first of all, people do have a gain to make up stuff about North Korea. They directly get paid to embellish stories. There are plenty of reports of truthful statements coming out of North Korea, which do show that there is, of course, concentration camps or prisons like the American prison system or famine. Okay, there is truth to that. The idea that there is none of that is stupid. I've never said that there is none of that in North Korea. I can't speak of executions. I'm sure executions are happening as well. We are also a nation that literally executes. Like, we are a nation that still also engages in capital punishment. Okay? But what is deeply frustrating to me in this conversation is that you immediately go, oh, dude, you're defending North Korea. I'm not. It fucking sucks. I would live there if I wanted to live so badly. Okay? No, it sucks. It sucks for 2 very specific reasons that I just gave you, okay? 2 very glaringly obvious reasons. But we play a direct role in we played a direct role in the development of North Korea as a state, the DPRK, and we played a direct role in its demise. So the idea that like America is not the fucking center of the universe is so stupid when talking about a country whose southern neighbor we developed, whose northern situation we have created. I know you want to literally go to sleep every fucking day and feel like America is not at the center of the world, especially when it comes to like all the awfulness, but it is so incredibly stupid to act like it's not. I didn't say you defended. Doesn't matter if you said I defended or not, you fucking donkey. USA is the center of the world when we're talking about North Korea, you fucking idiot. What country is the one that is holding the entire nation under crippling embargo and sanctions? Like, what do you mean? Who's strangling this fucking country? Sure, it's the regime itself, certainly, that plays a role in it, but don't act like it's just the fucking regime. Like, what do you think, the fucking, you think Saudi Arabia has like a normal fucking governance, a normal system of governance? Why are they thriving? Huh? Perhaps due to their natural resources and who they're aligned with, we completely look the other way on situations like that. I despise Americans who cannot even fucking face for 3.5 seconds the genuine contradictions that are glaringly obvious that harm them. If you're an American and I'm talking to you about situations in America while literally pointing to a country that we fucked over, that we have destroyed, and your immediate response is, how Americentric of you to literally talk about North Korea. It's like, imagine if I'm talking about Iraq, okay? Modern day Iraq and the circumstances, like how children are still being born with birth defects as a consequence of the depleted uranium that some country utilized when they were unjustifiably invading the country, okay? And you turn around and say, Iraq is a repressive, regressive nation led by Islamist fundamentalists. Why are you talking about America when talking about the situation in Iraq? What did America do about it? Are you fucking stupid? Or are you willingly trying to do propaganda for America so you can feel good about yourself for a brief moment? Because that's what it sounds like when I'm talking about North Korea and why they're in the fucking situation that they're in, / what we did, what role we played, and how ridiculous it is that we have similar situations here in the United States of America, the wealthiest nation on the fucking planet. Okay? You, of course, didn't listen to a single fucking thing I said and immediately turned around and went, what about concentration camps? What do you mean, what about concentration camps? Yeah, they have concentration camps. We have it too. What the fuck do you mean? This is not a defense of it. Yeah, it sucks, man. They have concentration camps. You know where else we have concentration camps? At the southern border, you fucking dipshit. Shut the fuck up. It's always so frustrating to have a conversation with debate perverts because they think that they literally have like a good argument here. They have a good angle here, and all they have is the capacity to clip shit out of context and fucking cry about it endlessly for literally 7 months down the line. Some dumb motherfucker is going to clip something I said here out of context, and they're going to bring it back as a clip to be like, look at this fucking piece of shit defending North Korea and the concentration camps there. And then it'll get 40,000 fucking likes on Twitter, and there is absolutely nothing I can do about it. And then there are millions of people that go, that Hasan guy, fucking hate that guy. You know what I mean? How do you feel about the accusations that Yeonmi Park was lying? Yeonmi Park is openly a liar. I've said that many times. There's videos on it. And she's such a fucking liar that it turned into a goddamn meme. Like even normal Americans were looking at the shit that she was saying and turning it into a meme, basically. Hey, Watcher here. Keep up the good work putting out content. You're welcome.
Was death from disease. In another household, the mother was sentenced to hard labor for violating quarantine rules.
I love when 22-month subscribers come in and go, maybe stop raging like this then. Dude, you've been in here for 22 months. You avoided thousands of fucking top of the hour and middle of the hour ad breaks. What the fuck do you mean, maybe stop raging like this? How do you think you would behave in a situation like this where you're basically describing certain facts and people keep constantly in the most smarmy way possible through the guise of anonymity direct attacks at you and try to put words in your mouth that you never even fucking said?
And her son starved to death. Recently, an acquaintance's son was released from the military because he was malnourished. Suddenly his face became bloated. He died within a week.
We had reports and rumors that perhaps some people were starving, but I had never expected that.
I get Yeonmi Park is a large, definitely is, but you can't just say every story coming out of North Korea is a propaganda lie. First of all, I never said that. Okay? I never said that every story that comes out of Okay, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't. This is why I hate fucking covering this story. I'm going to stop reading chat. I never said that. You want to interpret what I'm saying as that because it makes you feel better about your position, okay? Maybe you feel embarrassed because you fucking heard something about North Korea that wasn't true, and now I'm saying that that's not true, okay? I never said that all stories of North Korea are fucking fake. I never even said North Korea is a great place to live, okay? Not. Just like I never said that it's like genuinely democratic. As a matter of fact, there are plenty of instances where I use the DPRK, the DPRK story to make that same joke where it's like, just because it's Democratic People's Republic of Korea doesn't fucking mean that it's actually democratic.
That 2 out of the 3 people we'd spoken to would know people who had actually starved.
For the past 10, 15 years, we rarely heard of death by starvation. That was something that happened during the late 1990s or early 2000s. But to hear it happening again, you know, in the past 2-3 years, I think, you know, it is taking us back to the arduous march, which was the most difficult period for the North Korean people.
In the late 1990s, when Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, was in power, as many as 3 million people died in a devastating famine, known as the Arduous March.
The Red Cross estimates that almost half of North Korean babies will die before they're 5.
Damn, dude. If only there was a way to solve this issue, you know what I mean? Fuck. You know how I talk about how whenever like CNN or Fox News will show like media polls and they'll be like 30% of Americans believe this, and it's like flexing. That's what this is. This is just flexing. It's like, look at what we did. You know, I have an idea. We should sanction them further, I think.
The North Korean economy had collapsed, meaning the state could no longer provide its people with food.
Disastrous floods mean North Korea is desperately short of food. Many now rely on international aid to survive.
People quickly learned not to depend on the government.
His point is that North Korea is bad enough that there's no reason to point or lie about it. It only makes us look like we're propagandists, which we clearly are. I am saying that, but there is a reason why people lie about it. That is so that you can feel better. It's better to not look at the human consequences, the human toll of sanctions and embargoes on a country like this. And it makes you feel better when you think about them as like this scary nation that is a monolith, and it's led by this like awful tyrannical dictator. And we just have simply no other way of dealing with this hermit kingdom. And there's no way that we could actually trade with them. There's no way that we could actually normalize relations with them because the people are fucking brainwashed. And some of them are starving, but they're only starving not because of the sanctions and the embargoes, but instead they're starving because, like, you know, their government is bad. Only the government. The government is bad. And the government is bad, which is true. But if they were to just say the government's bad, but holy fuck, why do we still have embargoes? Why do we still have sanctions? Why can't we fucking normalize relations with North Korea? Then all of a sudden, more people will start asking that question. So in an effort to not ask that question, you have to keep up the fucking steady flow of insanity that comes out of North Korea. Okay? The irony is, a lot of this stuff used to be said about China as well. There was some truth to it, and ultimately, a lot of that has changed. Why? A brilliant, bold, sexy, and certainly not a criminal man by the name of Richard Nixon. Okay? That's right. He is not a crook. That's what happened. Guess what, dude? We started normalizing relations with China. Look at China now. You can literally say China is like fucking awful, and people still try. People still say like in China they eat rats and then the rats eat you. They do that shit about China too, but guess what? You could just fucking go to China and see that that's not true. So you can't really lie about it as aggressively as you can about fucking North Korea. France has a higher death from malnutrition than from North Korea. Cuba has a 3x lower than the USA. What? I don't even know how they get North Korean malnutrition numbers. Let's be real. I feel like that shit is not like that. That's probably not real. Life expectancy at birth in China and in the United States since 2010. This is World Bank data. Yeah, it's COVID played a role in this, right? It's got to be COVID, right? It's just like it's also kind of a bad graph because it shows like, look at this. I mean, like 78.5, 78, 0, 77.5 versus 75 down here. It's like not a very good chart. Anyway. 2 years, a noticeable decrease in life expectancy, though? Yeah, no, it's just the country that did COVID 0 versus a country that did 0 COVID restrictions. I'm sure if you look at this number now in China, it's probably also dropped a bunch, considering that they also went with 0 COVID restrictions now. COVID 0 versus 0 COVID restrictions is what happened. We did a culling of some of our fucking most rotund elderly individuals, okay? Like, here, I'll describe it with BBC voice. Are you ready? This despotic hermit kingdom decided to cull its elderly. A policy of no longer engaging with any kind of pandemic response. A scourge went through the nation, causing millions to perish. The leadership was asked how to deal with it. Their response was, we stop testing, we stop seeing numbers. Okay? I mean, that's what happened. There you go. That's literally what happened. There you go. It's just like, you can describe what's going on in America in very similar terms. Okay?
For food, they started smuggling things in from China to sell at markets. Ever since, most North Koreans have depended on this unofficial trade. When the border was closed, this lifeline was severed.
With the restrictions in general that have been increased, that is really worrying then for North Korean people's ability to fend for themselves.
Before the border closure, people would attempt to flee the country by secretly crossing into China. More than 1,000 made it out each year. But Kim Jong-un has spent the past 3 years building fences along the border, cutting off people's only escape route.
People are faced with multiple layers of
a president they called in secret, very orange, decided to build a wall. Maybe that's why Trump loves him, dude. Yo, Trump and fucking Kim Jong-un are just homies for that reason, dude. He's like, oh, you want to build a wall? Ooh, I love big, beautiful walls. Build it.
security if they're trying to cross. There's been, widely publicized threats by the North Korean regime, the North Korean military, that they will shoot people on site who are trying to cross into China.
The government strictly controls the border, using COVID as an excuse. But really, it's to stop the smuggling and people crossing the river to China. If you even approach the river, you'll be given a harsh punishment. There's almost nobody crossing now.
Every day it gets harder to live. One wrong move and you're facing execution.
I loved it. Dude, hey, great minds think alike, dude. They literally used COVID as an example to build a wall and restrict people's free movement. That's crazy. That's... I just don't get it. Why are they not talking about how if there's a dust on the portrait of Kim Jong-un, they kill you, and then they kill your 7 generations. They forcibly breed you to ensure that you have 7 generations of children so they can kill all of them and then their children as well. Because that's how it happens, I thought.
If I live according to the rules, I feel like I'll starve to death. But just by trying to survive, I could be arrested by the state security, branded as a traitor, and killed. This is the hardest period I've lived through. The famine was difficult, but the state completely lost control. So there weren't these harsh crackdowns and punishments. If people wanted to escape to China, the government couldn't do much. Now there are fences and surveillance equipment. A friend's son told me about several closed-door executions he saw. Each time, 3 to 4 people would be executed. The crime was trying to escape. People are stuck here and waiting to die.
We showed our interviews to James Heenan, the UN investigator for human rights in North Korea.
Wow. Okay. It's quite sobering. I read a lot of sobering stuff, but that's very sobering. It's very eloquent as well. This information that you have secured, it's disturbing, but in terms of the things that are probably the most shocking, if that's the right word, is the emphasis on the fear in people's lives. These interviews suggest that people who have lived through different waves of repression are saying, no, this what's happening right now is particularly bad. And in the past, we've been able to deal with it, but this is getting even towards the edge of what they can bear.
I wanted to understand why the government would be willing to push its own people so close to their limits.
North Korean government has always been indifferent to the suffering of North Korean people. North Korean state is about Kim.
Yeah, unlike the West. Famously, the British government, which is responsible for this documentary, or the American government, is notoriously very, very caring about the suffering that its individuals go through. That's just,
family. And it's all about
what's her title?
Korean government
people so close to their limits.
North Korean government has
CIA senior analyst Sue Mi Terry. CIA senior analyst on Korea 2001 to 2008.
To the suffering of North Korean people. North Korean state is about Kim family, and it's all about the regime survival.
Okay, here, I'll tell you a truth. I'll tell you one truth, okay? North Korea has government adjacent and government sponsored corporate contractors, okay? That's how, for example, they are able to maintain the food supply in these marketplaces, right? So it's literally a family. It's one family that owns like pretty much the entire fucking the entire food supply in these markets, right? And then they force people to work at those markets for such fucking shitty for incredibly fucking little pay and very little food. Okay, they do. They work in these shops, they work in these grocery stores, and they literally barely make ends meet. They barely can fucking put food on the table, let alone the food that they're selling inside of the grocery stores themselves. So then they basically rely on the government to offer food banks and food programs back to the fucking people that they are working with. And the only reason why this is allowed, is because, as long as you're sympathetic to the government, as long as you're sympathetic to the party, they let you fucking get away with this kind of horrific nonsense. Except, of course, I was lying. I'm talking about fucking Walmart and the Walton family. Okay? That's right. That is exactly what's happening with Walmart and the Walton family. I lied. It wasn't about North Korea. It was about Walmart. America's, largest private fucking jobs program, okay? America's largest organizing body or America's largest hiring body outside of the Defense Department.
To ensure his survival, Kim Jong-un has funneled his country's limited finances into developing nuclear weapons, which are now so advanced they can, in theory, reach the US mainland.
North Korea needs to be able to just...
Yeah. Okay, this part is actually about North Korea. Once again, North Korea has very limited funds. But what do they do with the funds that they engage in? Like, they have limited trade opportunities, but what do they do with the funds that they engage in? They take a gigantic amount of those funds and spend it on their military. The North Korean military, the DPRK military, is the largest hiring body in the country. Okay? Once again, I'm lying. Just kidding. That's still America. I'm talking about America. I'm always talking about America. That's literally what we do here in the United States of America. Okay? But I got you again. So quickly after I got you with the Walmart thing, because that's what we do here. I'm not lying. This is just what America does.
Justify the deprivations, the suffering of the people. So North Koreans say we have United States that's a hostile power. We have South Korea that's a hostile.
The United States says we have literally North Korea as a hostile power. Which one is more real? The North Korean government saying that the country that like eviscerated us, that has put us under international embargo, that has stopped us, that has crippled us from ever trading with anyone else, is a real viable threat. Or the country that is the most powerful nation on the planet constantly saying that these dumbasses with a couple bombs that they were able to put together, they are the real problem. They're the real fucking people that you need to fear. I wonder which is the actual pose to the international order. Which poses an actual threat to the international order? I wonder.
To us, there's Japan that's hostile to us. And nuclear program is the only thing that protects North Koreans against the hostile powers. We have to spend money, we have to build up nuclear program, and this is sort of why you're suffering.
North Koreans have little choice but to believe what they're told. With no access to the internet, the only way they can learn about the world outside their borders is through foreign videos smuggled into the country on USB sticks. Closing the border has helped Kim Jong-un to keep them out.
These days, watching and sharing foreign videos is severely punished, so people are more careful. A lot fewer people watch them.
It survives by repressing their people, by complete blockade on information with the security services and field tactics.
At the end of 2020, Kim Jong-un passed a law declaring those who share foreign videos can be executed. Ru Hyun-woo is one of North Korea's highest-ranking defectors. Until 2019, he was working as an ambassador for the North Korean government.
북한 주민들이 이 우식의 변화를 가장 두려워하느나 이걸 보면서
You want to know something? If this was the case, if like the government's largest fear was people's minds changing, okay, and I mean this with all sincerity, then America would just normalize trade relations and literally do American cultural imperialism, which is what they do best. If that truly was the way to win the war against North Korea, then just normalize relations with them and start doing trade with them. Put a fucking McDonald's at the heart of Pyongyang, okay? But you won't do that because you know that's not the problem. You just don't want to have another fucking China in your hands. That's it. That's literally half the fucking reason. Not saying that like North Korea would immediately thrive, but if like Cuba and North Korea can exist outside of the periphery, outside of like if they can exist even if the United States doesn't want it to exist, then clearly if the United States was also normal about their existence, they would probably have a much easier time.
한국을 동경하게 되고 소방 세계의 물질이 풍부한 그런 소방 세계에 대해서 환상을 가질까 봐 젊은 친구들이 지금 생각이 완전히 다릅니다.
If trade opened with Cuba, do you think it would destroy socialism in Cuba? No. No, I don't. I don't think it would do that. I think it would make the situation in Cuba much better it would genuinely impact Cuba's economy in incredibly positive ways. Just because there is some level of cultural imperialism doesn't automatically make it so that like that form of governance will fall apart. That's why I keep using the Chinese example, okay? China has literally shown the world that you can have normal trade relations with the rest of the world and greatly beef up your infrastructure and engage in even development. Not to say that like China is literally a full-blown transitional socialist state even, but as far as like American-aligned social democracies, for example, it's all a matter of what the government chooses to do with the resources that it's given. The U.S. doesn't want to have a mutual economic relationship between two equal partners. They want a Western sympathetic dictator who will do the same / worse as Kim while letting international corporations rob people blind. Like, think about it this way. Think about it this way. Think about it this way. How hard is it to take away the NHS? The Tories have been trying to do that in the UK for years, okay? It's very difficult to try to take amenities away from people once people are used to it, once people see it, once people accept it, once people recognize it, okay? So why the fuck would Cubans turn around and be like, yeah, I actually want, private healthcare now, please? No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, which is why I don't believe that like opening up trade and normalizing relations with countries like this would greatly collapse their interest in like maintaining some level of social safety nets, even if they're not like directly a transitional socialist state. Okay, that's it. That's my opinion on the matter, and I think the United States recognizes that, which is why they don't do it. Because if actual normal relations with these countries, if capitalism was so thriving and prosperous and so incredible, then like why don't they just fucking do regular trade with Cuba so that the Cubans can see how wonderful capitalism is and go back and have a people's revolution, to a counter-revolutionary movement, I guess, and destroy the socialist state where it stands. They would have done that already. They would have done that in fucking North Korea. You think that America doesn't want these nation states to stand as they do currently? No, of course not. If they did, they wouldn't put them under fucking sanctions.
그러니까 국가가 당이 김정은이가 네가 우리한테 해준 게 뭘 있어? 당신이 우리한테 뭐 굶어 죽지 않게 뭘 해준 거 있게? 불만이 쌓이면, 불만이 차곡차곡 쌓이면 이게 어느 순간에는 분노가 표출이 됩니다. 예.
I was taken in for questioning under the anti-reactionary thought law. Since then, I never reveal what I really think to others. I'm more afraid of people now. It's very scary, especially the way they're punishing young people. At a court in Pyongyang, the local leaders were gathered to judge a 22-year-old man in a public trial. He'd gone around spreading South Korean songs and films. His punishment was 10 years and 3 months in hard labor camp.
Wait, I don't get it. Why didn't they immediately execute him? I thought you just said they execute you for literally fucking even watching South Korean TV shows. And now they're saying a guy that was disseminating South Korean TV shows is actually not executed, but was punished for 10 years in hard labor camps. Which one is it? Is he getting executed for even watching it? Or are you able to fucking distribute it without getting executed and get 10 months and 10 years in hard labor camps? I don't really understand.
Before 2020, this would have been a quiet trial, with perhaps 1 year in prison. People were shocked how much harsher the punishment was.
Wait, what? Wait. Bro, they literally just said they execute you for watching shit right here. Am I crazy? Did I just misunderstand what they were saying? They said they changed the law so they can execute you, like literally right. Where the fuck was it?
Not closed door executions, he saw. Each time, 3 to 4 people would be executed. The crime was trying to escape.
No, this is trying to escape. They execute you. But there was a, like, was it over here? Where the fuck was it? Wait, I gotta see the fucking... Wait, where's the transcript? Why can't I see the transcript? Part with the same graphic?
Is the emphasis on the fear in people's lives. These interviews suggest that people who have lived through different waves of repression are saying, no.
To understand why the
people. It's about
to ensure
we have to support them.
Closing videos is severely punished, so people are more careful. A lot fewer people watch them.
It survives by repressing their people.
Oh, here it is.
World outside their borders is through foreign videos smuggled into the country on USB sticks. Closing the border has helped Kim Jong-un to keep them out.
These days, watching and sharing foreign videos is severely punished, so people are more careful. A lot fewer people watch them.
I'm almost certain they said they fucking kill people. They just, but
it survives by repressing their people, by complete blockade on information with the security services and field tactics.
At the end of 2020, Kim Jong-un passed a law declaring those who share foreign videos can be executed.
Oh, here it is. They did say it.
Ru Hyun-woo is one of North Korea's highest-ranking defectors. Until 2019, he was working as an ambassador.
I guess they said can be, so that doesn't mean they will be. So this guy got 10 years for distributing it, but even watching, you can get executed for it.
In songs and films, his punishment was 10 years and 3 months in hard labor camp.
I guess maybe it's because he didn't watch it. He only shared it. If he had watched it, they would have executed him. But because he smuggled it in and distributed it, they only gave him 10 years.
Before 2020, this would have been a quiet trial, with perhaps 1 year in prison. People were shocked how much harsher the punishment was.
You shouldn't be reprimanded, let alone jailed or even executed for consuming foreign media. They are very...
You can be executed by missile if you sleep in a high-ranking meeting. Okay, shut the fuck up. Stop saying, like, dumbass shit that the BBC says about North Korea.
Very serious violations of human rights. And in fact, in the past, the Commission of Inquiry of the UN has said that these can, in many cases, amount to crimes against humanity.
Despite the government's best efforts to keep its people in the dark, there are small signs that loyalty to the regime is waning.
Before COVID, people viewed Kim Jong-un positively. We hoped perhaps that he'd rule in a new way. But now almost everybody is full of discontent. If there's a war, the people will turn their backs at the government.
Oh my God, they're doing the thing which is like China's gonna collapse any day now. China's gonna collapse any day now. North Korea gonna collapse any day now. The people yearn for freedom. Okay, bitch, if the people yearn for freedom, give them fucking freedom from economic sanctions. Let's see what happens. Like, I'm down. Fuck the North Korean government. I don't give a shit. Fuck them. Let them do it. Oh yeah, it's just, this is it. Yeah, exactly. Game over, the end. The CCP has fallen. Disaster. China is going to collapse. China is collapsing tomorrow. Okay? It's always the same shit. Doesn't this surprise you at all? Like, doesn't this make you go, if you're in here right now, you're watching, you're like, Hasan, you seem like a fucking North Korean dick rider to me. Like, I ask you this question. Do you not find it strange that China is supposedly collapsing literally every single day since like 2003? 0 days, game over, the end. don't you find it a little bit weird that they're constantly trying to distract you about what's going on over there and like objectively lying to you? Perhaps there's a secondary reason for that. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to distract you from the top of the hour ad break, which comes at the top of every hour. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free, but the people don't want you to see it. They don't want you to know that there's a 3-minute ad break. They want you to watch the ads. In America, they want you to watch the ads. In China, you subscribe. You can also get gifted a sub as well. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
That's the reality.
After our supreme leader met with the US, people were filled with hope and laughter that perhaps we would be able to go to foreign countries. We were tricked. This border closure has taken our lives back 20 years. We feel hugely betrayed. The people never wanted this endless weapons development that brings hardship to generation after generation. My child doesn't have food. I just want my family to have 3 meals of rice a day. I want to live in a society where we don't starve, where my neighbors are alive, and where we don't have to spy on each other.
Nobody believes the propaganda on TV. The state says we are nestling in a mother's bosom. But what kind of mother would execute their child in broad daylight for running to China because they were starving? People, including me, openly say that they hope there is a war here as soon as possible. Only by getting rid of the entire leadership can the people live. Let's end this one way or another.
I think that what these 3 North Korean people are sharing through these interviews does support the idea that North Korea is even more repressive, even more, totalitarian than it's ever been before. Sadly, these interviews may...
I missed the most unhinged part. What is it? The people yearn for freedom? Okay, wait, hold on. I want to see this part.
Facing execution. One wrong...
These days, watching and sharing foreign videos is severely punished.
One wrong move, and you're facing execution.
Oh, so they did lie, by the way. They just openly lied in the beginning of the fucking video where they said, like, people get executed for sharing videos. I just want to point that out real quick because I wasn't going crazy. They just fucking did that.
Be able to go to foreign countries. We were tricked. This border closure has taken our lives back 20 years. We feel hugely betrayed. The people never wanted this endless weapons development that brings hardship to generation after generation.
What?
My child doesn't have food.
Yeah, dude, again, cut this exact same video, but about America. And it's just like a fucking poor family in Arkansas. And it's just like, why are we giving so much money to like the American military? I'm starving.
I just want my family to have 3 meals of rice a day. I want to live in a society where we don't starve, where my neighbors are alive, and where we don't have to spy on each other.
Nobody believes the propaganda on TV. The state says we are nestling in a mother's bosom. But what kind of mother would execute their child in broad daylight for running to China because they were starving? People, including me, openly say that they hope there is a war here as soon as possible.
I'm sorry, what?
Only by getting rid of the entire leadership can the people live. Let's end this one way or another.
I think that what these
There you go. You were asking why they make videos like this or why they lie. That's it.
3 North Korean people sharing through these interviews does support the idea that North Korea is even more.
I love when, I know you're saying this sarcastically, the CIA did not have a say in this promotional piece at all, because the CIA is literally in the promotional piece, like multiple times. The first North Korean outlet that they go to, Daily North Korea, Daily NK, is funded by the State Department. That's what this entire documentary is designed around. It's their reporting from North Korean sources that they went to. They literally have multiple people that have either worked with the CIA or for the CIA in the documentary. Like, they're not even hiding it. They're just straight up. She's like, oh, CIA's like Korea analyst from 2001 to 2008.
More repressive, even more, totalitarian than it's ever been before. Sadly, these interviews may be a preview of just how difficult things are for North Korean people today.
The COVID pandemic has provided Kim Jong-un with an opportunity to tighten his grip over his people. When he does finally reopen the border, it's unlikely their old freedoms will be returned. The fear is that this new era...
I'm very skeptical. You're telling me the CIA made this for the BBC? Sounds too conspiracy theory-esque. I didn't say the CIA paid for the documentary to be made. The CIA built the institutions and funded the institutions that are unfortunately the only institutions where you can get any fucking information out of North Korea on. But when anyone is writing these articles, you're joking, right? Like, I mean, like there's, like this person is 2152 right now. Okay, we'll get back to this, but like, where is it? Where's the lady? Like, it's not like they just actually have CIA analysts. He wasn't joking. But what do you think this person is when they say, fuck, where is it? Where's the lady? Yeah, sue me, Terry. Where is it? 2152? Oh, here.
2-3 years, I think, period for.
He is in a quickly depend life
for.
Where the fuck is it?
On.
I thought I just saw her. Is it 15 minutes? Where is she?
Enable to
so
oh, here.
I wanted to understand why the government would be willing to push its own people so close to their limit.
Like, it's right there. It's not like there's no reason to hide it. But they're not hiding it. I guess the question I have is like, what compels you to not want to believe what's in front of your eyes that they're showing you?
Let's end this one way or another.
Support the idea that North Korea is even more repressive, even more, totalitarian than it's ever been before. Sadly, these interviews may be a preview of just how difficult things are for North Korean people today.
The COVID pandemic.
These people are saying he has the power to execute over watching a video, but needs COVID to pass new laws. Huh. You know what? That is actually a good point. They also say that North Koreans have no idea what the fuck's going on with the rest of the world. So why the fuck? What do they know about COVID? I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Pandemic has provided Kim Jong-un with an opportunity to tighten his grip over his people. When he does finally reopen the border, it's unlikely their old freedoms will be returned. The fear is that this new...
Bro, this video pre-COVID featured the exact same shit, by the way. But now, somehow, it has to, like, keep getting worse and worse for Koreans in North Korea. That, like, they're like, oh, they can't get back to their pre-COVID freedoms. Fuck you mean? We can see what you wrote about Korea before COVID. You said the same shit. But now you make it seem like it was objectively better. Koreans are saying it's objectively better pre-COVID. They have so many freedoms. So did they have freedoms before?
New era of repression could last for decades.
I can't even read this shit. What are they? The information you've collected is not entirely factual. It is derived from fabricated testimonies from anti-DPRK forces. I mean, they're right. They are right, by the way. This is anti-DPRK forces that made it. Anyway, I'm done with that. What's it like to live in North Korea? This is from 5 years ago, before COVID.
미국은 미제 식량이 막 뭐 양코배기 막 이런 교육을 많이 받잖아요. 이제 미국 사람들은 한국 사람들이랑 막 성인 남성 건장한 남성들은 막 앞에 옷 벗으면 털이 까뜩 갈 것 같고 막 이런 상상을 계속 하고 있었어요. 미국 사람들 보면 무조건 무서울 것 같고 뭔가 이제 눈이 노랗고 뭔가 이제 독살스러워 보이고.
자아 비판과 다른 사람 비판을 하는 그런 어떤 모임을 생활청화라고 하는데요. 그게 제일 싫네요.
아, 그분이 죽으면 나라가 멸망하고 우리도 다 죽고 없어지는구나라는 생각에 저는 정말 신이라고 생각했어요. 한 10살 조금 넘어서까지.
그래서 그거 안 하는 것만으로도 행복한 것 같아요. 그쪽에서 먹던 음식들.
고향 음식 그리고
역시 내 친구.
Wait a minute. They're saying they miss the country's food? Are they saying they miss rats? I thought they ate a healthy diet consisting of rats and fertilizer. That's weird. They ate?
친구들이랑.
친구들이에요. 엄마랑 아빠랑 같이 놀던 그 거리나.
Wait, they were allowed to play with their moms and dads? I thought they killed you for playing in North Korea. Wait a minute. Seems weird.
옆에 진정한 친구 하나 좀 이렇게 두고 싶은데 그런 친구들을 못 찾고 있거든요.
Even the defectors can't pretend to like white people food? Yeah.
네, 그래서 그런 부분에서 친구들이 제일 그리운 것 같아요. 제가 어릴 때부터 이제 남한에 대한 TV도 많이 보고 또 이제 라디오 방송도 많이 들었어요.
타이타닉을 제가 직접 보지 못했지만 아는 형님이 그걸 보고 너무 재밌다고.
라디오 방송을 들으면서 목소리가 참 이쁘더라고요. 그래서 그 목소리도 따라하고 싶었고 또 몰래 이제.
Wait a minute. They have Western media? Wait, stop. Bro, I thought, how did these guys survive being executed for listening to fucking K-pop and shit? I don't really understand.
친구들이랑 모여서 목소리 따라하고 저기
Wait. They also, all of their friends also watched South Korean shit and would practice in public? Wait, I'm so confused. I thought the government would kill you for that sort of thing.
저기 가려면 어떻게 가야 되나?
인도나 미국도 동경을 했어요. 인도 같은 경우에는 그 영화들을 보면 사람들이 춤을 많이 추잖아요. 너무 멋지고 부러웠어요.
사람은 다 누구나 다 같은 마음을 가지고 있고 같은 감정을 가지고 있고
이제 추우면 옷을 입고 싶어하고 이제 외로우면 사랑하고 싶어하고
그런 동등한 인간으로.
Why are you downplaying their shitty state? No, you fucking dumbass. I'm literally telling you. I'm telling you that, like, they're just normal human beings, okay? Their state is repressive, but but the Western media regularly lies about the conditions. Okay? That's the point. That is not downplaying their shitty state, you fucking moron. Only a stupid person would go, oh no, I want to take this propaganda hook, line, and sinker.
봐줬으면 좋겠다.
자유. 북한 사람들 자유를 갈망하고 있어요. 절대적으로 필요한 사람들입니다. 그거 하나만 좀 꼭 기억해줬으면 좋겠어요.
Normal human beings compared to some demons in the chat? Yeah. They told him to say that? No, my people yearn for freedom is fine as long as they're not saying like it can only come from war. Why would they lie about the conditions? Well, you just watched a group of people that... Okay, someone's lying. It's either these guys that are lying, okay, and these guys that are all lying, or it's Yeonmi Park that's lying. And it's the rest of the BBC coverage on North Korea that's a lie. Which one do you think it is? Do you think it's that like they're literally all dying because they're eating rats and then the rats are eating them and then they're eating the fattened up rats after the rats eat the children and then the children eat the rats again and it's a cycle of rat eating? Or do you think it's like these people who are like, no, I miss my country's food. The food was fucking great. You know? The point is, it's probably more normal than the way that people are describing it, especially when there are additional reasons as to why you want to lie about North Korea when you are mainstream media in the West. Okay? It's not a fucking secret socialist utopia. It's not like Wakanda for Koreans. Okay? That part is definitely not true. And anyone that tells you that it's like shit is poggers in North Korea is fucking ridiculous. But it's certainly not as bad as the way that Western media presents it.